Will drinking bone broth break your intermittent fast? Well, we decided to take the morning and do some testing, and we've got the results for you in this video.
All right, so if you have watched any of our testing videos, you know that we follow the scientific method, meaning that we come up with a hypothesis, test that hypothesis, gather our data, and come up with our conclusion. It's a scientific method as well as we can in a kitchen with two subjects, right? So to get ready for the test, we both fasted.
Right.
I did a fast since eating a light dinner last night. So I'm about 12 hours into a fast when we started the experiment.
Right, so I'm about 30 hours or something into a fast because this is Saturday morning. I had a dinner on Thursday night, and I decided to fast yesterday just because I have a difficult time being in ketosis, and I wanted to be there for this test.
Right.
So
we got up bright and early this morning, and we did a finger prick test to get...
No coffee.
No coffee, right? To get our blood glucose and ketone readings as a baseline. And then we drank down a cup of bone broth and retested at 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and 120 minutes. And as Keith said, we did not have coffee, we did not have food, we did not have supplements, we didn't exercise.
Right.
We just conducted a test.
So our hypothesis is that because bone broth does have a small number of calories, mostly protein, that it would knock us out of ketosis and raise our blood glucose and thereby break our fast, our intermittent fast. So, do we want to do the results?
Yep, go for the
Okay,
results.
let's jump into it. So, the glucose. Becky's starting glucose was 71, which was good. It's a good place to be. You had the bone broth, and then at 30 minutes it went to 70, and then it went to 67, and at the 120 mark it was at 76. So, you had it went up like 9 points in that last hour, but again, I'm going to say that's fairly insignificant.
I think it seems insignificant.
Yeah, I mean, you were kind of bounced around there, and 76 is still a pretty low blood glucose to have in the morning. So my blood glucose started at 87. Yeah, definitely, an acceptable place to be. I had the bone broth, and then 30 minutes later, I was at 104. So that's a 17-point jump. And at 60 minutes, I was at 103, and at 120, I was still at 103. So my blood glucose definitely jumped up and stayed up.
Yeah, so a little bit different there with glucose. So let's take a look at ketones.
Right. So ketones, you started at 1.8, which is really, really good, and I'm very envious of that. After the bone broth, it went down to 1.6 in the 30 minutes. At 60 minutes, you were at 1.7. And at 120 minutes, you were at 2.2. You actually jumped up there.
Surprising.
Yeah. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't expect to go in that direction.
Yeah. All right. Let's go for my ketones. So I started at 0.9. Fantastic for me. Drank the bone broth. At 30 minutes, I dropped to 0.4. So technically, it had dropped me out of ketosis. So I usually consider 0.4 to kind of be a minimum level of ketosis for me anyway. At 60 minutes, I was at 0.4, and at 120 minutes, I was at 0.4. I was steady Eddie through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But again,
right? So here we go, right? With our two different metabolisms. Our conclusions. Did drinking bone broth in the morning raise our glucose?
For me, it did. For you, I don't think it did. It wasn't significant enough.
Wasn't significant enough, I would say.
Yeah.
And our ketones, did drinking bone broth during a fast drop our ketones, drop us out of ketosis?
It sure didn't for you.
Right.
It did for me.
Right. So there we go, right? So if you have watched these tests, it is always this way. We are such different metabolisms. So I will say, if this was an N of 1, right, a test of just me doing this and drinking bone broth, to that hypothesis, will drinking bone broth knock me out of ketosis? I would say, nope, I'm good. If this was an N of 1 with Keith being the only subject of the test, we would say, does drinking bone broth knock you out of ketosis? We would have to say for you, it does. Right. Does it break your fast? For you, it does, because
right.
it lowered your ketones and it raised your glucose, which indicates, speculating, that it would give him an insulin response.
Right. And that's kind of what we're looking for at this point, that pulse of insulin due to an increased glucose is going to then shut down the ketone production in the liver. Yeah. And that's why that changes. And that's kind of our whole thing of measuring things during intermittent fasting, how they're affecting, not talking about any other factors, just looking at your metabolism and how that's affected with glucose and ketones. So here we go. I mean, we're just two different people, right? Intermittent fasting, so if you've got a good metabolism like you, right, I think you're okay to do something like this.
Right. Well, and there's some other considerations here, right? So bone broth does have calories, and your body is going to do something with those calories. So if you're looking at a strict fast,
caloric fast,
yeah, this would break a caloric fast. Okay, right. So we have to say that. Now, is this one of those situations that if you do have a metabolism that is a little bit more stubborn, is bone broth going to be completely out during your fasting period? Well, there are benefits to it. If you're on an extended fast, it might help you with hunger. If you're just starting fasting and you haven't quite gotten in the groove yet, it might be something to help you get over the hunger hurdle, so that you can kind of use it as a crutch to get you established. Right. And bone broth, you can drink it during your eating window for many, many benefits. I like to have it for gut health. It's great for hair and nails and skin, but that's because of the collagen. And I should add into that too. We utilized Kettle and Fire, which is the bone broth that we use and we recommend, because they slow simmer the bones for such a long time, for like up to 20 hours. And what that does is it draws out the collagen and the amino acids, so that you get all of the health benefits.
The good stuff.
Yeah. So if you are interested in this, we are partners of them, which means that we will get commission, but we appreciate your support in that way. And we do give you a 15% discount in our description, so we'll give that to you.
Right. And we should say that when I did my extended fast, my 10-day fast, I did have bone broth every evening. I had a cup of bone broth. It was 40 calories. But I was hitting ketone numbers at 6.
Right. And
glucose numbers in the 50s and 60s. So for that long-term period, it didn't seem to have a negative effect on me at all. Yeah. Now in this 2-hour period, that's a different story. So.
Yeah. All right, there you go. 2 different metabolisms, 2 different results, but some good considerations for yourself with bone broth. Get the good stuff and it will be good for you.
Yep.
Hope this has helped. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon, and we will see you in a week.
Yep.
Thanks.
We're going to drink our coffee now.
Absolutely. Here's a, well, and there's some other considerations here, right? So bone broth does have calories, and your body is going to do something with those